Well, today marks the 20th anniversary of the deadliest mass shooting in Spokane's history. It happened at Fairchild Air Force Base when a former airman used an assault rifle to kill 4 people and wound 19 others at the base hospital. This afternoon, a memorial service remembered the lives lost, but also the security forces officer who ended that rampage with a remarkable shot from his pistol. And KXLY4's Jeff Humphrey covered this story 20 years ago. He joins us now live at Fairchild with a look at what turned out to be the most tragic week in Fairchild's history. Jeff?
Nadine, the month of June 20 years ago had Fairchild reeling. The base had lost a B-52 crew to a fiery crash over by the survival school. Even worse, 23 people, many of them children, were shot by a deranged gunman named Dean Melberg. Like a lot of the shootings at U.S. military installations, the gunfire here at Fairchild 2 decades ago was triggered by a soldier's mental health problems.
Some guy just came in here and shot him. Came in and shot him. Is he gone? Is he? Yes.
Some of Dean Melberg's first targets were the doctors who thought Melberg was too mentally ill to serve in the military. Even though he was honorably discharged, Melberg came back to Fairchild to seek his revenge against his psychologist. Unfortunately, the shooting didn't stop there. Melberg then went inside Fairchild's hospital and began randomly shooting patients, including an 8-year-old girl who died. As Melberg tried to make his escape, he was confronted by a security forces officer who had ridden his bike to the shooting scene.
I could see him. He continued to fire, and he was running towards me, and he kept firing. I kept yelling at him to drop his weapon, and he didn't, so I returned fire.
Staff Sergeant Andy Brown was a speaker at today's memorial service because, armed with just a 9mm pistol and at a distance of more than 100 yards, Brown opened fire on Melberg, hitting the gunman in the head and killing him instantly. There is little doubt that Brown saved a lot of lives that day because Melberg still had 19 rounds in his magazine when the officer ended his rampage. But today, Brown wanted the crowd to remember Melberg's victims, not the staff sergeant's heroic shot.
My actions have been called heroic, but there are many heroes among the patrons and staff of the hospital that day. If not for their actions, the bloodshed would have been much greater.
And Nadine, even after he had dispatched Melberg, Brown then had to search the nearby hospital grounds for an additional rumored second gunman. That, unfortunately, is when Brown encountered a lot of the shooting victims. He started struggling with feelings of guilt for not getting to the shooting scene fast enough and later diagnosed with PTSD. Fortunately, after years of counseling programs, many of them at Spokane's VA hospital and the support of his family, Brown has resumed his career in law enforcement with the U.S. Border Patrol. Reporting live at Fairchild, Jeff Humphrey, KXLY4.